If you want to know how to get your loved one in ICU well enough to go home on a ventilator with a tracheostomy with intensive care at home, stay tuned. I've got news for you. My name is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecareathome.com. And today I have an email from Fiona who says, "Hi, Patrick. I want to get to the point where my husband is well enough to leave intensive care on a ventilator with a tracheostomy. He's not ready to come off the ventilator yet, but he's had enough in ICU and he simply wants to go home. Can you help and explain?" Well, thank you, Fiona, for writing in. The reality is that in order to stabilize a critically ill patient in ICU on a ventilator with a tracheostomy and their inability to wean off the ventilator, they need to be medically stable. What that means is, ideally, they need to be off inotropes and vasopressors. They need to be hemodynamically stable, right? And they need to be off sedatives and opiates, ideally, even though we are giving sedatives and opiates at home as well. And whilst we could give inotropes and vasopressors at home as well, it is much better to go home without inotropes and vasopressors with a patient. So what that basically means is once your husband is in intensive care and he's not going anywhere, for example, right, because he can't be weaned off the ventilator, can't be weaned off the tracheostomy, but is otherwise stable, that's really when intensive care at home is becoming an option. And what does it look like? Well, what it looks like is to organize some funding, of course. Keep in mind, the logistics around intensive care at home are that an intensive care bed costs $5,000 to $6,000 per bed day. It's the most expensive bed in a hospital, right? It's also the most sought after bed in a hospital, right? And therefore, the intensive care bed can be replaced in a home care environment, right? And by replacing an intensive care bed in a home care and community environment, that means a patient and a family, can go home, improve their quality of life, in some instances, quality of end of life. The funding bodies can cut the cost of an intensive care bed by around 50%. That's 50, right? So an ICU bed is around $5,000 to $6,000 per bed day. Intensive care at home is around $2,500 to $3,000 per bed day. And we're freeing up an ICU bed, which is worth money for hospitals and intensive care units, of course. Again, it's a win-win situation. So how does the funding work? It could come from, in Australia, for example, the NDIS, could come through the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme. It could come through the DVA, Department of Veteran Affairs, could come through the TAC in Victoria, WorkSafe in Victoria, NIISQ in Queensland, iCare in New South Wales, depending on your location, of course, could come from private health insurances, could come from the Department of Health. The bottom line is, not many services can cut the cost of by 50% and basically get the same outcomes or even better outcomes by being in a home care environment. But the bottom line is, it is not only a much more cost-effective solution, it is also a solution that improves quality of life for patients and their families. So what needs to happen next? So like I said, funding needs to be organized, equipment needs to be organized, such as ventilators, tracheostomy, suction machines, monitors. Pretty much everything that you need in an ICU can be set up at home, to deliver the same level of service in a much more patient and family-friendly environment. Gone are the days where, you or your family member stares at a wall in intensive care. Well, finally, you can go home. You might be able to sit in your garden, on your balcony. You can go out. All of our clients have community access, right? That's also something intensive care units often forget, and even families forget. All of our clients have community access. They're going out there, actively participating in day-to-day activities of living, right? Again, this is a no-brainer where intensive care units can't even wrap their head around of what's possible at home instead of patients staying in ICU. So what also needs to happen is obviously the selection of a critical care nursing team at home. Again, that's what we do here at intensivecareathome.com. Selection of the right staff. That is part of our skill set. Making sure the right team is working with you, that you feel comfortable with, in the comfort of your own home. It's very important that you feel comfortable with the right people coming into your home, right? So that's it in a nutshell. It's no more complicated than that. So with all of that said, with intensive care at home, we are sending our critical care nurses into the home 24 hours a day. Therefore, we are providing a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care for ventilation and tracheostomy, home BiPAP, home CPAP, ventilation without tracheostomy, tracheostomy without ventilation, home TPN, home IV potassium infusions, and home IV magnesium infusions. We're also providing ventilation weaning at home. We're also providing central line management, PICC line management, Hickman's line management, as well as portacat management for home TPN, but also for IV infusions. We're also providing nasogastric tube and PEG tube management at home, as well as palliative care services at home. We're also sending our critical care nurses into the home for emergency department bypass services. We have done so successfully as part of the Western Sydney local area health district, their In Touch program, saving approximately $2,000 per patient that we keep at home instead of going to an emergency department. We're actively making sure that there are empty beds in an emergency department for the patients that most need to be in an emergency department. We're also cutting the cost of an intensive care bed by around 50%. The intensive care bed costs around $5,000 to $6,000 per bed day. Our service costs around 50% of that, and we're freeing up the most sought after bed in the hospital, which is the intensive care bed. Most importantly, we're improving the quality of life for patients and their families. So therefore, it's a win-win situation for all stakeholders. With intensive care at home, we are currently operating all around Australia in all major capital cities, as well as in all regional and rural areas. We're an NDIS approved service provider all around Australia, TAC and WorkSafe in Victoria, iCare in New South Wales, NIISQ in Queensland, as well as the Department of Veteran Affairs all around Australia. Our clients and we as a provider have also received funding through public hospitals, private health funds, as well as departments of health. We are the only service provider in Australia that has achieved third-party accreditation for intensive care at home nursing. In 2025, we have been achieving this high level of accreditation since 2012. No other provider has achieved this high level of accreditation in the community and has created more intellectual property for intensive care at home nursing than we have. This puts us in a position to employ hundreds of years of critical care nursing experience combined in the community. No other service provider in 2025 employs a higher skill level in the community than we do, which enables us to look after the highest acuity adults and children in the community in Australia safely. Now, if you're stuck in an ICU bed or you have a family member who's stuck in an ICU bed, especially if you're ventilated with a tracheostomy or if you're at home already and you're watching this, and you realize that you want to go home from ICU, from a long-term stay in a hospital, that you don't have the right level of support for you at home, I'll give you a very tangible example today how we can turn your situation around. One of our first clients over 10 years ago was a client who was at home on a ventilator with a tracheostomy with the support worker model 24/7. Of course, support workers cannot look after clients at home on a ventilator with a tracheostomy, full stop. That is like flying the airplane with the cabin crew instead of the pilot, because anyone on a ventilator with a tracheostomy is at very high risk of medical emergencies or dying if they don't have critical care nurses looking after them 24/7. This is evidence-based and is documented in the mechanical home ventilation guidelines that you can find on our website. Think about it. In intensive care in a hospital, you wouldn't have support workers looking after a critical care patient on a ventilator with a tracheostomy. So why would anyone in their right mind would do that in a home care environment? So eventually this client and the ICU that he was in found out about us. We were proving our concept with this client very fast because we have the solution. When we worked with the client, we sent him intensive care nurses 24 hours a day. He never ever went back into ICU ever again. And we were proving our concept there very, very fast. We can do the same for you if you're not safe in the hospital or at home. That includes the advocacy for funding that goes along with it. We have always successfully advocated for our clients, otherwise we would not be in business. This is also why we're providing level 2 and level 3 NDI support coordination. We have a team of designated and dedicated NDI support coordinators, and they have a wealth of knowledge. I've done an interview with Amanda Richards, one of our NDI support coordinators, and we'll put a link to an interview with Amanda in the written version of this blog below the video. We're also providing TAC case management and WorkSafe case management in Victoria with Lucy McCodder. And if you're an NDI support coordinator or a case manager from another organization watching this and you're looking for nursing care for your participants, please reach out to us as well. If you're looking for funding for nursing care for your participants and you don't know how to go about it and what evidence or legislative requirements to provide, I encourage you to reach out to us as well. We can help you with the right level of funding and with the right level of advocacy. We're also providing NDI specialist nursing assessments done by critical care nurses with a legal nurse consulting background. And if you're a critical care nurse and you're looking for a career change and you want to join a very progressive, dynamic, and high-performing team of critical care nurses in the community, we're employing hundreds of years of critical care nursing experience combined. If you're looking for a career change, we're currently hiring for jobs for critical care nurses in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, in Albury, Wodonga, in Bendigo, in Geelong, and in Warragul, in Victoria. If you have worked in critical care nursing for a minimum of 2 years, pediatric ICU, ED, and you have already completed a postgraduate critical care nursing qualification, we will be delighted hearing from you. I have a disclaimer though, because we are offering a tailor-made solution for our clients, which includes regular staff and regular teams. Our clients do want the same staff coming over and over again because they are so vulnerable and so special, and that's why we need regular staff. So if you're looking for agency work where you can come and go, this will not be the right fit for you. We're looking for consistency, and our clients are looking for consistency. So only apply with us if you can give us regular and consistent availabilities for shifts, and only if you're really keen and genuine about building relationships with us and with our clients, and if you think you're ready for a home care environment. If you're an intensive care specialist or an ED specialist, we also want to hear from you. We're currently expanding our medical team as well. We can help you eliminate your bed blocks in ICU and in your EDs for your long-term patients or for your regularly readmitting patients with our critical care nursing team at home. We're here to help you take the pressure off your ICU and ED beds, and in most cases, you won't even pay for it. Even if you do pay for it, it is much more cost-effective than what you're paying for in ICU and ED, and you get the same level of care. If you're a hospital executive watching this, and you have bed blocks in your ICU, ED, respiratory wards, please reach out to us as well. We can help you there fast. If you're in the US or in the UK and you're watching this and you need help, we want to hear from you as well. We can help you there privately with one-on-one consulting and hiring private nurses. Once again, our website is intensivecareatHome.com. Call us on one of the numbers on the top of our website or simply send us an email to info@intensivecareatHome.com. And if you like my videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel for regular updates for families with intensive care at home and intensive care. Click the like button, click the notification bell, comment below what you want to see next, what questions and insights you have. Share this video with your friends and families. Thank you so much for watching. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecareathome.com, and I will talk to you in a few days. Take care for now.